Hello and welcome to the ASUG News Studio. My name is Tom Whalegum and we are broadcasting live from ASUG Annual Conference in Sapphire Now 2015. Well, I'm delighted to have our friends in from JetBlue Airways. You guys flew all the way down for this. Thank you guys for coming in. This is going to be a great interview. Yep. And I hope you guys have a great week here in Orlando.
Thanks.
So let me just introduce you first and then we're going to get right into talking about your cool BPC HANA BPC project, but we're not going to talk buzzwords, right? We're just going to have fun with it. Talk about business value.
Right.
So to my left is Sid Devetti. He's the IT systems manager and a whole host of other titles, I think. But Sid, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're delighted to be here.
Great. And next to Sid is Julia Peslavska, and she is the manager of financial planning and analysis for JetBlue. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you for having me.
You're really classing this joint up, so thank you for joining us. And at the end there is Satya Kolapalli. He's the senior analyst for SAP Financial. Thank you for coming. Glad we could twist your arm and get you here.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being part of here.
Awesome. So let's start with you, Sid. You got a pretty cool project, but there's a lot of acronyms and tech buzzwords attached to this. What, in essence, was this JetBlue project, and why was it so important, you think?
About a couple of years ago, our CFO had asked us, can we have an 18-month rolling forecast? And in our industry, it's very challenging to address various factors. There's operations due to weather, traffic in the air, etc. So we wanted a better way that our business users can forecast their expenses and look at actuals. So as we went through the due diligence process and looked at various tools, we saw SAP's tool had flexibility and at the same time can work with our existing technical infrastructure and process infrastructure. So I'll be quite honest, when I first heard of HANA, I was like, who's she? And I'm sure that people think of that all the time. But just getting past the buzzwords, the way that the FP&A team does their planning is become more centralized, but also allows the FP&A team and the business users to collaborate more effectively of looking at actual data from the SAP ECC system, as well as non-SAP data that looks at our flight segments, our utilization rates, etc. And then they could take it from there and plan onto the future 18 months now, where we'll do some what-if scenario analysis as well. And in the past, we just didn't have that capability. And especially in an industry like ours, where no 2 days are the same, fuel prices will fluctuate, etc.
That's awesome. That's a great insight. So Julia, being on that side, was there some frustration then you guys saw, wow, this is actually opening up and really can give you some new capabilities you didn't have before?
Right, so I'm part of the financial planning analysis team, and before we implemented BPC, we used a tool called Clarity, which was great at the time when we were smaller and our budgeting was more centralized. So our business users would go into Clarity and put their 12-month budget, and then from then on out, the budget was kind of stale. The tool didn't have the capability to be open at all times and for users to make forecast adjustments whenever they wanted to. Or whenever our statistics changed, or like Sid said, due to weather or other events. So when we implemented BPC, now the tool is always open to users, so they can go in and make forecast adjustments themselves. And prior to that, we used to manage that in an Excel spreadsheet. So you can imagine that a company of almost $6 billion in revenue, that there's room for human error, and then it's just very time consuming. And now our users can go into the system, make their forecast adjustments, plan out for the next 18 months, and just having the visibility of short-term and long-term of expenses and revenue allows us to have trade-off discussions, decide which projects we want to do sooner, and it's just the increased visibility. We've pushed ownership of forecasts from centralized FP&A owned to the business users, and when people feel that there's ownership, there's more accountability as well.
Absolutely, that is a great point. And plus the data's not stale or not stat. I mean, this is, you're able to really get at.
Exactly.
Is it real time? I mean, close to real time as you can get?
Yep, I mean, we have a calculation that runs every 2 hours, so the data is 2 hours old every time someone queries.
That's
exactly.
pretty good.
No, I mean, we went from, annual budgeting to continuous forecasting.
Right.
So.
Great point. So Sayu, what would you add to this? What have you seen for the changes, or maybe what are you guys poised to do in the future?
We are planning to have the roadmap of forecasting of. Currently, we are forecasting operating expenses, so we are planning to forecast balance sheet as well. And as part of IT, I do support all the day-to-day issues which currently the users have, and we extensively use logic script functionality and drill-through functionality in BPC.
So there's some real business value that you're seeing. I mean, could you, from the people who are using it, is it like night and day for them? Some
yes, a lot of times there's data that they didn't know that they had access to that existed in one place, and now through BPC, it's in a cohesive location, so people can look at their reports, their performance, and then determine what do we want to do next. They can do the benefit cost analysis by looking at the tool and not asking other analysts, well, can you go and look at historical data for this solution, et cetera. And it provides us, like Julia said, up-to-the-date information from ECC based on real-time transactions that are happening. And we have a plethora of transactions that are happening in the airline space for like revenue recognition and also looking at expenses. So it's a place where everything comes together from not only a data standpoint, but from a people standpoint. There's strong coordination between IT and FP&A, but also the cost center owners are now involved and are empowered to make changes and see their budgets.
So the forecasts are a little bit more accurate?
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. And like Sid said, one of the nicest parts is that now all of our data is in one place. It's one source. So we don't have to go to multiple sources, multiple tools. That was always a pain point for our users. Whenever they wanted to do a report, they have to go into one tool to pull actuals, another tool to pull budget. Now everything's just in one centralized location.
And your CFO, to loop back to the beginning of the story, right, must be happy, right? Because when they want that data, able to get that.
He's happy that he can see 18 months out, so we know, what's happening, what the business plans on doing. We always had offline models where we met with the business and asked them, but now it's just more real time, and users can go in, business users can go in and do it themselves as opposed to relying on us.
That's great. We don't want to have to rely on you guys, right?
It also makes us more nimble to respond to business needs. As our company grows and our footprint expands, they can see more of what we could be like in the future. And we have strong growth in our airline space, and we want to make sure leadership has the right information to make these strategic decisions as we head toward the future.
That's a great way to end the interview, looking at the future. So congratulations, looking forward to your presentation down here, and thank you for coming in, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
For more customer stories just like JetBlue's, please go to asugnews.com.